On today's video, we will be discussing Giannis trade updates, Kevin Durant trade updates, and last but not least, we will be talking about the New York Knicks head coaching situation. I'm Stephen Connor. I'm here to give you a show. You're tuning in to the Stephen Connor Show. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Before we get started, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Also, hit that post notification bell so you can get notified whenever I upload a video. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a couple of topics to talk about. All three of these things are somewhat related to the New York Knicks, whether it's trade rumors. We'll be talking about trade updates, and we'll be also talking about the coaching situation with the New York Knicks. So we're going to start off with the Giannis trade situation because I think all of these are interesting. But the Giannis situation to me is like, why are we talking about this? Because there's no trade market right now around Giannis because Giannis has not indicated or have told the Bucks. He reportedly they were supposed to meet 2 weeks ago, and we aren't hearing anything from that meeting for real. And he just said that he hopes to come back and be with Milwaukee recently because he's traveling with family. And now, keyword, hope. Now, hope isn't I want to, I will. Hope. I hope I get $1 million one day. Doesn't mean I'm going to get it. So using the word hope is kind of interesting to me. That did intrigue me a little bit. What's the trade market like for Giannis if he is available? The Spurs, the Knicks, the Raptors. I keep hearing the Heat. Everyone's talking about the Heat. But if the Heat, to me, honestly, the Heat, they would have to give up somebody. And they're reportedly not interested in giving up Hero, Adebayo. So then what do you give up? Wiggins? Nikola Jokic? Well, I don't know if that's his name, but him. So first round picks, I'm good. I'm good. And then the Heat do have a nice young player who's really nice. He's young. But no, don't give him up. But that package I just gave out in some picks, is it going to work out for real? That's not going to work out for him or Katie. But it's just crazy to me that we're hearing all these rumors, all these stuff about Giannis. And it's like, Giannis has not formally requested a trade. Giannis has not indicated that he wants out of Milwaukee. Maybe he will indicate that soon. Maybe he will do that. But as of right now, he doesn't want out, it seems. It seems that he's very loyal. He's loyal to a fault. Now, he has won an NBA title, so maybe that's helping him stay in Milwaukee because his whole life is there. His whole career has been there. I could understand why you wouldn't want to move and switch teams. I get that. And, we talk a day about people not being loyal nowadays, but the NBA is a cult. I used to complain about that, like, oh, back in the day, they used to stay loyal. There's no loyalty in the NBA. Look at Tom Thibodeau. Now I understand why it's the loyalty in the NBA. Shoot, the Raptors and DeRozan. Now, I understand that trading DeRozan was 100% necessary for the Raptors to win that title. Without trading him, they wouldn't win. But still, that's another example. This is a Milwaukee getting rid of Drew Holiday is another example of how cold-hearted the NBA can be. The Celtics trading Isaiah Thomas back in 2018 with Jay Crowder for Kyrie Irving is another example of how cold-hearted the NBA can be. And people talk about the NBA cold-hearted. The church is just like the NBA. When it comes to moving people and stuff like that, it ain't just as cold-hearted. But yeah, it's just, like I said, it's cold-hearted, and it's really insane to me. But at the end of the day, as of right now, I don't know where Giannis could end up because there's no trade buzz for real with him because has not indicated he wants out. You let me know where you think we could see Giannis go if he does want out. However, for one player who is no timeline on what's going to happen because they haven't said they wanted to trade, we go to someone who will be traded reportedly within the next 2 to 3 weeks, and that being Kevin Durant. Now, Phoenix, we know how bad Phoenix messed up. Phoenix fumbled the ball completely with the team they had when they went to the NBA Finals because they panicked and traded for Kevin Durant. And that's when it went downhill. That's when it went downhill. And then they traded for Bradley Beal. And then they lost all their depth. And then now they're in a situation. If I'm Devin Booker, we talking about Bradley Beal and getting rid of Bradley Beal. We're talking about them getting rid of Kevin Durant. Hey, if I'm Devin Booker, I want out. What do you have to give me? What do you have to offer me at this point? Like, you're wasting my prime. We have to rebuild after this because the new GM of the Suns and they're just terrible, terrible. Talking about some. I'm not like every other owner. We don't want to rebuild. What are you talking about? You don't want to rebuild. Number one, if you trade Kevin Durant, you're going to have to rebuild when you trade Kevin Durant, number one. Number two, Bradley Beal is on one of the worst contracts in NBA history and currently in the NBA. It's between him and Paul George right now. And maybe Paul George will back. See, it's him, because Paul George might bounce back. We don't know. Paul George might be able to bounce back. I highly doubt Bradley Beal will bounce back. He fleeced the Wizards, not only into giving him that contract, but giving him a no-trade clause on top of all that money he's making. That was a fleece, first of all. Second of all, the Phoenix front office is terrible. The head coach, they have had like 3 head coaches in the past few years: Bodenholzer, Vogel, and now who they just hired. What's going on? Should never fired Monty Williams. Should never got rid of Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, because the owner is the reason why they traded for Kevin Durant in the first place. And then they just got 3 offensive juggernauts. Well, 2 offensive juggernauts and Bradley Beal. Kevin Durant is not as good as he was once on defense. This is not the 2021 best player in the NBA, Kevin Durant. That he's no longer that. He's still good, but still. Then, on top of that, you traded away all your depth, all your assets, and picks. You have no picks. And it's cool to hire the GM because he was assisted with coach in the NBA he coached in college basketball. So, he could have connections to young people, He could know them, do all that stuff, right? But you have no draft picks. AM Hoops brought that up. Like, they have no draft assets because he brought up what could be positive about, but you have no draft picks. And then you go and say you don't want to rebuild through the draft. The Phoenix Suns situation is a hot mess, and I would want to get out too if I was Kevin Durant. I would want to get out too if I was Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. I don't know. I think he's just happy to get paid at this point. But I got off topic. Every time we talk about the Suns, I just have to rant about them because it boils my blood what they did. It really does. However, Kevin Durant's trades. Number one, I do not think he will be going to the Heat. I do not understand why we keep having the Heat as options for these people. Because you want to go somewhere where you could compete. And then if they trade for you, they're going to have to gut their roster, gut their depth. And I don't think that you should go somewhere like that. Now, they have good culture. Don't get me wrong. Pat Riley spoke tremendous culture. Look at what they was able to do with Jimmy Butler. The culture of that team is for real. However, Kevin Durant's at the end of his career, and he wants to compete for a title still. And Kevin Durant also, now this might be a hot take. But Kevin Durant should go somewhere where he doesn't have to do all the work. He will have to do a lot of the work for Miami. I don't think Kevin Durant has to be a number 1 option anymore. Like LeBron. Is LeBron still the number 1 option with the Lakers, or is it Luka? At this point in his career, Kevin Durant does not have to be the number 1 option. Or does he need to be the number 1 option? Because Kevin Durant has injury issues. He has a history of getting injured. And with all that in mind, you should think about, if you're a team, you should think about your depth. You should think about the other stars you're going to build around him. You're going to have around him the other players. Because then he could take the load off. And in Phoenix, he had to do a lot of stuff because Phoenix was messed up. And the new team, maybe he wouldn't have to do all that. Especially if he goes to the next team I'm going to bring up, New York Knicks. He could go to the Knicks. I could see a world where he goes to the New York Knicks. Who do they trade for him? Who do they send to him? It's a lot of questions there. But they're going to keep Brunson. It's rumored that the Knicks aren't interested in Cat, so they're going to have Cat. Maybe they Bridges, but do the Suns want Bridges? The Bridges want to go back to the Suns? I'm interested to see what the pieces are around, but I could somewhat see that vision. However, New York needs to get their act together with their head coaching situation before they look forward to getting KD. Like the Knicks are. This is going to be an interesting offseason, regardless of what happens. Giannis, the Knicks head coaching situation, Kevin Durant, all these things are going to be interesting. Whether or not Giannis requests a trade, this is still exciting. This offseason is still exciting. It still energizes us to talk about it. And so, yeah, you could go to New York. It's crazy once again we're getting the KD to New York rumors, and we know what happened last time, but he ain't going to Brooklyn this time. But it's crazy. It's crazy that happened. This is happening again. Then you have a sleeper team, which is the San Antonio Spurs. They have a young 3-and-D guard. I believe his name is Vassell. They could give Harrison Barnes, I saw, and some picks, and someone else. Wemby, De'Aaron Fox, maybe bring back Chris Paul, Kevin Durant, and then the other people that you have, the other solid role players you have. That would be good. That would be good right there. San Antonio would be good. Then, last but not least, you have probably the most likely option to me, and that's the Houston Rockets. Because don't they have Phoenix's picks, draft picks? So Phoenix's draft picks. And not only that, but then Jalen Green and others they could trade, and then they'll still have enough assets left where they could compete. But the question is, do you want to trade for KD? Because he is getting older. And you will have to win now. It's not like, oh, we got 2 years of no, because you don't know what the future holds. You have to be able to contend right away, right now with him, and still be set for your future once he departs the team. Do they want to maybe go for Giannis, who has some years left, if he's available, more than KD? Or do they want to go for someone totally different? In general, we just know that they're looking to get rid of Jalen Green. And they have a good head coach. So does the Spurs and the Rockets, to me, are the two best situations for him. Even the Knicks could be if they figure out their head coaching situation, which we'll get to in a second. But that's just my thoughts on the Giannis and KD trade. I'm sorry for the rant about the Suns halfway through. Every time they make me upset, they make my blood boil. But those are my thoughts. I'm interested to see where Giannis ends up to summarize, but he hasn't requested a trade yet or has hinted at a trade and recently said that he hopes to be back with Milwaukee. So I think he's going to end up staying in Milwaukee. And KD, it's only a matter of time before we see him go. But I think the top three destinations, not in any particular order, are the Knicks, the Spurs, and then the Houston Rockets. And Miami should not be considered in any of these talks. I could be completely wrong, and he could end up with the Heat, but that's just... I also heard the Clippers. What y'all gonna do with Norman Powell and who? But yeah. So moving on to the New York Knicks head coaching situation. They fired their head coach. They fired Tom Thibodeau a week ago, after he went back-to-back 50-win seasons, after he brought them to the playoffs 4 times out of 5 years, and after he took them to the conference finals, after he reinvented this team, after this team struggled for years and years and years and are finally on the right path, they let him go. Now, I understand partly why they let him go, because he has a huge flaw, and that flaw is he's a good coach, don't get me wrong. However, he runs his players into the ground, the starters. He did it when he coached the Bulls. He did it with Jimmy Butler, D. Rose. He did it with Brunson. He did it with Julius Randle. He has a history and a track record of doing this and not playing the bench when he has a good bench, and the starters end up suffering and getting hurt. Because let's be real, when D. Rose got hurt and tore his ACL, should have Derrick Rose been on the court? No, but he was. He was. Last year, the Knicks had all those issues with Mitchell Robinson being hurt, Julius Randle being hurt, other players that are important and pivotal to that team, Jalen Brunson, and it cost them in the end. And it was because he doesn't know how to do minutes. He doesn't understand that they deserve a break. He doesn't understand for some reason. For some reason, he just doesn't get it. So I understand why you would want to possibly get rid of him, because that's a huge negative. I get that. However, if you're possibly seeking to get Kevin Durant, a big name player, if you're possibly trying to look for a trade to get a big star, and you fire your head coach, and then you don't have a cohesive plan in getting another coach, why fire your head coach? I just named out the negative, but that's the negative. But look at all the positives he did. Maybe he would tweak it. Maybe he would change. Someone talks to him. So I'm like, hey, look here, man, we got to fix this. And then let's see how far we could actually go for really to use this team to the full potential that it could be. Even if you don't get KD or Giannis or whoever. Try to use this team to its full potential, because they haven't unlocked their full potential yet. And see what they are capable of, because this team is capable of going to the finals. To me, the Knicks are capable of winning the finals, but they just have to be used correctly. And like I said, he did all this stuff for you. And y'all thought the grass would be greener on the other side. And the grass isn't greener on the other side. You requested to interview Minnesota's head. If they try to interview Doc Rivers, the Knicks deserve their downfall. I'm just going to say that. The Knicks front office deserve their downfall. It's crazy that Doc Rivers is still employed and Tom Thibodeau isn't. It's just crazy, because he made it to the conference finals. Has Doc Rivers been to the conference finals in the last 10 years? 12 years? No, he has not. Anyway, back to what I was saying. You interview Houston's head coach. You request to interview with him. You request to interview with the Timberwolves head coach. They tell you, heck no. So then all of a sudden we see reports, Jason Kidd is interested. I will be too, to get away from Nico. You traded away a generational talent, arguably the future face of the NBA, for Anthony Davis. I would want out too. We hear that he's interested in them. You're interested in him. Oh, they're interested. And then Jay Will, I know him, the big for the Knicks for the longest. Oh, they have a plan. They know what they're doing. Guess what? The Mavericks say, oh, hell to the no. So you go out and fire a head coach who brought you to the conference finals. And you have some good coaches who don't have jobs right now. You do. There's some options out there. However, your grand solution to firing somebody is to try to hire somebody who already has a job, who you can't talk to without the other team agreeing to, and then you will have to make a trade in order to get that coach to be your coach. That was a bulletproof plan. That was a great plan, New York. You deserve your flowers, your roses. You deserve the spotlight for such a wonderful, beautiful plan. Guess what? It didn't work. You struck out 0 through 3. Sham just reported that the Jason Kidd interview ain't happening. They told you no. The Timberwolves told you no. Houston told you no. So what are you going to do now, New York? What are you going to do now, New York? You are once again in the Kevin Durant trade rumors. You can't even focus on getting Kevin Durant because you don't even have a head coach. You got 2 to 3 weeks before a trade happens for KD. By the time you get ready for KD, it's going to be too little, too late. He's going to be gone. And then you're going to have your fans, we didn't get KD. We didn't get KD. What were you thinking? Who's your coach? Who is your coach? Who is your coach going to be? It was no reason for you to fire teams. If you had no plan, you had no real plan. You had no plan. You had an idea. You didn't give the idea a full thought. You had ideas in your hand and you just let the ideas win. You didn't sit down, try to talk about it, think about it, say, oh, this is going to work. No. Like I said, thought the grass would be greener on the other side. You were wrong. You were denied 3 times. 0 for 3. Why are you going after people who already have jobs, who you cannot get in contact with unless the organization gives you contact? New York, this is the issue with the Knicks. This is why they have not won. You do this time and time again. Make stupid decisions that cost your team. For the love of basketball, please get some common sense. Get common sense. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to get common sense in New York. I am so frustrated. I'm not even a Knicks fan, and this made me mad. New York, the Knicks were good in my whole lifetime. The Knicks are finally good, and you get rid of the person who makes you good. This is stupid. This is stupid. Like I said, I said the negatives about Thibs. I understand the issue with him. However, at the end of the day, you didn't have a plan. And since you didn't have a plan, you did not need to get rid of Thibodeau. I'm Stephen Connor. This has been the Stephen Connor Show. You let me know your thoughts on everything we discussed on today's episode. Until next time, be good people. Stephen Connor out. The Knicks just make my head hurt, y'all.